Hey guys, Kris here. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Ford Mustang Mach-E long-range rear-wheel drive and why I still think this is the best car in this segment, which is, the mid-size electric SUV segment that sits just below the luxury stuff like the Mercedes EQC and the Audi e-tron, the big Audi e-tron. So when I tested this car back a few months ago, the all-wheel drive version, I did a proper, in-depth review. So if you want to see that, guys, today I'm just going to go through some of the talking points, what I like and what I don't like, and why I think this is the best car. But if you want to go through the whole in-depth review, I will link it in the description box down below, my thorough review of this car. But when I tested it, I basically said that this was the best car in this segment, but that was before I drove the Volkswagen ID4 and before I drove the Skoda Enyaq. Those cars weren't even in the market yet, if I'm not mistaken, but I've now driven those two cars extensively, and tomorrow I'm actually picking up the ID4 GTX, and then next week I have the Audi Q4 e-tron. So yeah, I mean, this segment is getting quite crowded, but I still think that this is the best car in this segment, and today I'm going to go through the points that I find, why I find this car the best car. Before I go through my points, what I like and what I don't like, I just want to give you guys a disclaimer. So if you need a car with a roof box for skis or stuff, this isn't your car. You can't have one on this car. And also if you need a car that can, pull a trailer, this isn't your car either. Then you have to go for something like the Volkswagen ID4, the Skoda Enyaq, or the new Audi Q4 e-tron. But with that out of this way, I'm going to tell you guys what I like. So first off, proper and true one pedal driving. That is awesome. I love that in this car. I love it in every other EV that has it, but this car, has proper one pedal driving. It has a kick-ass stereo if you could with the technology package with this car has, with the B&O sound system. I mean, it is the best sound system in this price segment, maybe next to what you will find in the Tesla Model 3, which also has a great sound system. But this is one of the best. I mean, it's much better than what you find in the ID4. It's better than what you find in the Skoda Enyaq, and it's even better than what you would find in the Volvo XC40 or in the Polestar 2. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's not quite there at the level of the Bang & Olufsen I have in my Audi e-tron, but I mean, it's about 8/10, but that sound system is pretty good, yeah. So I do like the exterior styling. I think this looks better than the ID4. I think it looks better than the Skoda Enyaq. And guys, also, some of these points are subjective. I'm telling you guys why I think. As I said, some objective points about this car may rule this car out for you guys, but I'm talking about my opinion in this video, and that's why we're going to do things that are subjective, like the exterior styling. I think this looks better than the competition. I think it actually looks better even than the Q4 e-tron. I do like the styling of this car. I think they pulled it off really well. And then we have the interior. I like this interior. I think this is better put together, feels more premium, and looks better than what you find in the ID4 and even than the Skoda Enyaq. I haven't driven the Q4 e-tron yet, so I can't comment on that, but I mean, this doesn't feel like a huge downgrade from my e-tron. So I mean, it's a nice interior. Materials are generally nice, and the cheaper plastics are kept down low in the cabin. These seats are super comfortable. I've driven this car a few thousand kilometers in the past week, and yeah, these are super comfortable. They're initially very soft, and seats that are initially very soft, my concern is that they aren't very supportive, but I mean, yeah, good lumbar support. I mean, you don't have too much side bolstering, but I mean, these are comfortable seats for long traveling. And then you have the ride, which is comfortable. So this car is set up quite softly, and it rides just as good as the other cars in its segment. It may even ride a little bit better. And then you have the cabin at speed. I mean, this car is almost as quiet as my e-tron. So I went to Kristiansand and back again for the weekend with my daughter with my e-tron, and then I did the same trip with this car the day after, and then I was like, there isn't much in it. There isn't much in it. I would say it's about 90 to 95% as quiet as that car, and that's basically one of the quietest cars I have ever driven. So I mean, this is so impressive on the motorway. And then you have the cabin tech and functionality. So you have this screen here on top of the dashboard here in front of the driver, which, you know, shows you range and battery percentage. It's pretty awesome. It's clear, it's bright, it's a beautiful display. And then you have this central screen here, which isn't my favorite, but it works better than what you would find in the ID4. It works better than what you would find in the Skoda Enyaq, and I mean, it's pretty good. I still think it's too big and the resolution isn't good enough. They could have shrunken it to 8/10 the size. The resolution would be better and the screen would still be good enough, but I mean, it's pretty good. Not my favorite, but it does the job pretty well. And then you have the rest of the cabin with, you know, physical buttons here, and everything is easy laid out on the steering wheel, easy to use, logically laid out, and yeah, proper labeled. And then you have switches here on the side for your windows and your memory settings, and then you have switches down here. So, and then you also have a volume knob. So I mean, functionality, cabin functionality, again, is better than a lot of the competition. And then you have the range on a motorway, which is easily 500 kilometers or close to 500 kilometers at motorway speeds in the summer. I mean, the big battery pack here, the 88 kilowatt hour net battery capacity, and the efficiency of this car, especially this with the rear wheel drive, is super impressive. I mean, yeah. Just go ahead and check out my test, guys. This is one of the best performing, if not the best performing car I have ever had on this channel. And then you have the handling. This car actually handles pretty good. So it's rear wheel drive. It has 290 odd something horsepower on the rear axle. So it is, you know, quite frisk. It's quite brisk. It's not a slow car. And you can easily overpower the rear axle. This car has smallish wheels. They are 18 inches, 225/60 18ths, and yeah, that's probably a contributor to the ride comfort and the quietness, but it also makes this car a fun handling car because it doesn't have huge wheels with tons of grip, and it's a playful chassis. So yeah, it's not only comfortable, but it's also very fun to drive. So those were the positive things, and the list is long. And now to the things I don't like. And I mean, this is almost nitpicking because I was sitting here writing the list of the things I liked, and then I was thinking about what I don't like. And yeah, I mean, this is basically nitpicking, but I'm gonna go through the list. It's very short, but some of the switchgear feels cheap. I mean, this car is better than the car I had a few months back, which was a pre-production model. But I think the shifter could be better executed. So I'm not a huge fan of the shifter by itself. It works fine, but it's not the best, you know, feeling quality-wise. And also the switchgear here, the buttons feel kind of cheap and look kind of cheap, but it's not too bad. It's better than in the pre-production car, but yeah, there is room for improvement. And then again, I have the infotainment system here on my list. I still think the screen is too big. It looks like an iPad glued to the dashboard. If they made it just a little bit smaller, it would have looked much better in the interior. So not my favorite, but yeah, I mean, it's actually not bad. And then you have the charging speed. So this car has a peak speed of 150 kilowatts, but you only get that for a few minutes, and then it throttles down to around 105 kilowatts. So I wish they keep a better, higher speed. You know, the competition charges at 125 kilowatts and has a fairly flat charging curve, and this car with its big battery would, yeah, benefit from faster charging. I mean, this car is so efficient that you will still be able to go very far, but when you stop to charge, it could be better. And then lastly, we have the electronic door handles, which I've gotten used to. It's not my favorite, and I wish, you know, this car just had traditional door handles, because you can catch this system out if you're too quick with, you know, opening the door and then closing the door. You can catch the latch out here. It will just metal against metal, the latch smashing against the hook here. It doesn't sound particularly good, but I mean, again, this is nitpicking. I've, you know, grown to get used to this. It's not my favorite, and I wish this car just had traditional door handles. So guys, that was my list of things I like and don't like, and what I, you know, in closing statement, I think this car rides better, drives better, handles better, has a nicer interior, has a nicer exterior, better range, a better stereo, and it's a nicer car to operate and easier to operate than the ID4 and the Skoda Enyaq. And for that reason, I prefer this car. I think it's a better buy. Yes, it's a bit more expensive than the ID4, but for that you get a bigger battery, you get more range, you get a nicer cabin. I mean, this cabin is so much nicer than what you would find in the Volkswagen ID4. And again, I keep mentioning it, but this is the car that is the smallest step down from my e-tron in this segment, and that says a lot. So guys, let me know what you think down below. Mustang Mach-E, Skoda Enyaq, or Volkswagen ID4. Have you driven them all? What do you think? So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always guys, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.
Cloudless skies in the midday.